Hello everybody, joined today on a very windy, very cold little scouting trip out in the Peak District. Now we're not too far from New Mills and Manchester's just over in the distance, but the idea is we're coming out for a sunset. Everything looked like it was going to be okay, but I don't think it's going to happen. And just a very short video, that's just accepting the failure, almost embracing the failure. Main reason being, not every trip is absolutely perfect. You don't get amazing shots every single time, and I think when you accept that, it lets you enjoy the photography a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with going out and just taking a few snaps every now and again, but I'll show you what we're working with, and hopefully you can see why I don't think the sunset's going to work tonight. So that's what we've got at the moment. As you can see, the bank of clouds moved in and essentially covered over anything that we've got to work with. So why should we embrace the failure? Well, it seriously can make us a better photographer, because we've known the ups and downs of it. It means if we go out, we're not overly disappointed, think, well, the trip's a bit of a bust. The enjoyment is actually getting out and taking the shot. Even if it's just a few snaps, it's handy because you know now the area that you're in. I mean, if I just spin you around, absolutely glorious area looking out into the Goyt Valley. We know now this is a really nice spot to come back to. It doesn't always have to be the bells and whistles and everything's absolutely spot on. When you've got conditions like this, which are at the moment, apparently it's around about sort of 12 degrees, getting down to about 9 degrees tonight. But the wind chill factor is ridiculous. I have to put a big coat on. It's getting close to silly hat sort of time. But it means you've got more of a sort of acceptance of what you can produce with conditions that you're there. You can have the best kit in the world. If you've not got the conditions or the compositions, you're not going to get a great shot. But as a scouting trip, it works really, really well. I mean, there are a few nice little spots dotted around. But it's not like you've got epic light or anything like that, because the clouds have actually stopped all that coming through, which is a real pain, but it's what we live with. You can't predict everything's going to be spot on, but we might be able to pick out a few nice little shots, and if we get a few rays coming through, might try some tight ones. We've got the 12-100 on, so if I try a nice sort of tight crop on things, it might bring them out quite nicely, because I think the colour's going to come through, but I don't think we're going to get what would normally be termed as an epic sunset. Looking out over the way that the sun's actually setting, we've got Jodrell Bank radio telescope, which I think would look really nice if the light had hit it right, but yeah, as it is, it just seems to be hazing up and really not doing much. But I'll see if I can get a couple of shots off, and I'll pop a couple up now for you. So like I said, there's a few little bits, and I've actually stood in the wind at the moment, so it's going to be really breezy. I'll try and take a few steps down out of the way, because I've actually got a bit of a wall behind me. That's better. Yeah, we've got some nice shots with potential if the conditions are right. But that's the thing you've got to remember. When you're going out, you're not going out to produce portfolio images all the time. Sometimes you're literally just popping out to see what a place is like. It's the first time we've been here, and it's quite nice to see different bits and bobs. Like I said, I took a few shots earlier as well. And the way that the light sort of hits the hills, just spin you around here, we've got looking out over to Kinderscout, and that is a lovely little vista with a bit of light on it. It works quite nicely. There's not a lot of foreground here, but where I've actually coming up to at the moment, just sort of wandering up this track, it's towards Shining Tor, and that should give us a bit more of sort of a look down into the valley. Might not take any shots while I'm up there, but it's worth having a look and see what's around. Like I say, we're heading into sort of sunset territory now. I think it's about 5 minutes away, so there's not really a lot happening up here. But take in the scene, look at what's around you. It's amazing what you can actually find just by sort of standing here, and sometimes looking away from the sunset over there. If it catches the cloud right, you can get a really nice composition. So yeah, it's worth bearing that in mind. But as like I said though, the conditions aren't great tonight. We've got some pretty high winds up here, so I'm actually ducked behind this wall at the moment just so I can speak to you because it's gusting quite strong. We've got a biting cold with it as well. We're heading into the proper sort of area where autumn's starting to bite now, so that nights are drawing in. We're getting colder nights coming through, which ordinarily isn't too much of a problem, but it does mean you can't really stay out quite as late unless you're sort of geared up for it. We're actually just got to park up just down in the van, probably about sort of half mile that way that we're using tonight, so it's not too bad. I've got everything down there that I need. Important things, kettle works, and we've got heating as well, but there's a few little shots that I'm going to try and get now, because just as we're coming up there, I don't know whether you can actually make that out. We've got a little bit of colour forming just over the hills, that's sort of looking towards Wales, and you can make out the hills. So I'm going to try a tight crop, possibly get up to 100mm and see what I can sort of pull out of that, because I think the layers might work quite well, but I'll pop it up now if it works. Another thing that really does work well is the high resolution mode, especially for stuff like this. If you run it at 50 megapixel handheld on the OM1, I can then sort of crop that down into a panorama and still get quite a bit of resolution out of it. So it works really quite well for that sort of thing. I'll pop a shot up now. It's more of a snapshot than anything else, but this is a demonstration of what you can do with a 50 megapixel file, and I sort of drop it down something like a 4x1 crop, so it works as a mock panorama essentially. Yeah, if I wanted to do it properly, I could actually sort of do a stage panorama and actually stitch those together, but I don't think it'll actually gain anything in these conditions. So using that, it gives you the other option to actually sort of get that into sort of reasonable position and give you a usable panorama shot. So as expected, not really a lot happened with the sunset itself, so I'll just make sure I don't actually fall over these rocks here. But it's worth a wander up. Like I say, quite nice up here. You've got a lovely view out over the Goit Valley. Just spin you around there, you can see all that. It's quite a pretty area. I think with the right light, this could be a beautiful location for some sort of quite nice sort of landscapes. Obviously you've got a nice mixture of sort of the trees. Obviously you've got the heather that's gone now, so that's now gone brown. But you've got the hillsides and Kinder Scout in the background. With the right sort of conditions, they could be really, really good up here. So I think it's definitely one to bank, remember, and come back to. Like I say, the sun's now, it's about a minute away from going down, and I don't think anything particular is going to happen. I was hoping it might actually drop down below that bank of cloud, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. We are sort of losing the light now as well, so it's starting to get quite a bit darker. But there's a chance that the sun might just peek through just as it sort of completes, so I'm going to stand by ready for it and see if anything does actually crop up. And as you can see now, the sun's just dipping down below that bank of cloud, but there's not really enough to do much with. But it's worth coming out. It's quite a nice scene, and actually I might try and rattle off a shot right now, because that actually doesn't look too bad not through the viewfinder. It's the sort of thing that doesn't really come through on camera very well, so I'll just rattle off a shot now and see if it comes out. So, as expected, a slightly disappointing sunset, but it's nice to be out, get the opportunity to have a look around, see what happens. I'm going to hang around for a few more minutes up here just in case the afterglow actually does anything, because sometimes you do get more colour after the sun's gone down as it sort of hits the higher cloud, but it might work, it might not, but it's always worth hanging on. And so I'm going to be doing a few more shots in the morning, possibly even sort of hang on for sunrise, but the forecast for tonight is to sort of do complete cloud cover, so it might not work, but it's the sort of thing. We're in the van, where we're parked, we're facing east where the sun's going to come up, so it might work, it might not. We're worth a try. It's the sort of thing you don't know unless you try it, but that's the whole thing with it. Get out there with your camera, take the snaps and enjoy it. Don't worry about going out constantly looking for portfolio images. Failure is always an option. It's the way forward, definitely. I always used to go out and think, I've got to get the best I can possibly get. Definitely since I sort of decided, well, I'll go out, even if I get a few snaps, I've enjoyed the time out. It changes the photography for you. It makes it more enjoyable, and it's not a competition at the end of the day. We're here to enjoy it and not sort of get bogged down with technicalities and whether we've got this right, that right. Go out, enjoy yourself. But okay, I'm going to head back now to the van before we lose the light. And if you have enjoyed this, please do give us a thumbs up. If there's any sort of thoughts you've got on sort of failure being the option, drop us a comment down below. Love to hear from you. If you're not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. Really helps the channel out and doesn't cost you a penny. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you again on the next one.